I'd like to call the November 3rd, 2020 board meeting to order. This meeting of Sugar Grove Village Board will be held as outlined in Public Act 101-0640, which waives the Open Meetings Act requirement that a physical quorum of elected officials be present to hold a public meeting in the event of a public health disaster declaration and a determination by the village president. Governor Pritzker issued a statewide disaster declaration on October 16, 2020, and in response, President P. Sean Michaels determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent at this time. With that said, Ryan Walter, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Allison, roll call, please.
Trustee Cook?
Here.
Trustee Conan?
Here.
Trustee Lundy?
Here.
Trustee Walter?
Here.
Trustee Montalto?
Here.
Trustee Herron? President Michaels?
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum. There's no public here at the Village Hall at this time. And checking in with Allison before the meeting, she had no public comments submitted through email.
And Sean, I just wanted to, Sean Herron has joined us, so.
Okay, all right. Welcome, Sean. We just did the pledge, Sean, so we're.
All right, well, sorry about that. Something's happening with my desktop, so time for a new one, I guess.
Okay. All right. If you would add Sean to the roll call, please. There's no public hearings, no appointments and presentations, and no public comments on items. Well, I'll open up the section of public comments on items scheduled for action. Under consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes from October 20th, approval of the minutes from October 22nd, approval of the vouchers, ordinance amending the curfew regulation, ordinance for no-through traffic Prairie to Illinois 47. Under general business, we have approval of the announcement of the 2020 tax levy and a resolution approving the purchase of sterilization equipment. With no public here at the Village Hall and no public comments submitted, I'll close that portion. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
First by Trustee Montalto. Trustee Cook, seconds. Any requests to remove an item from the agenda? Or from the consent agenda? Any requests? Okay, hearing none. Allison, roll call, please.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Herron?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you all. Under general business, we have approval of the announcement of the tax year 2020 levy. Matt, any comments? Oh, well, let me get a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, we got a first by Trustee Cook and a second by Trustee Montalto. Okay, discussion, Matt?
There really isn't any discussion. There does need to be an announcement of the levy amount, the $3,930,000, and that is what you're going to be approving as the tax levy announcement. Public hearing is going to be in the newspaper on Thursday, and it'll be scheduled for the following meeting. And then the approval will be the first meeting in December.
Okay.
So just so everyone understands what you're saying is we're only approving the announcement of it, not approving the levy itself.
That's correct. You just have to announce it a certain amount of days prior to the approval. which is 20 days.
Right.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Matt or the board? Roll call, please, Alice.
Trustee Cook? Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Okay. That motion carries. May I get a motion to approve a resolution approving the purchase of a sterilization equipment?
As bad as that sounds, I will make the motion.
May I get a second? Second by Trustee Cook. I believe it was a motion, not Rick's comment. I don't know. This is for the whole department. So I guess Chief Rollins, you did some research, and this will be used in squad cars. Plus, it's portable, so it can come into office buildings if needed.
Correct. So we're looking to purchase 2 items. One is the Sterizap UVC room sterilizer, and that's basically on wheels. It could be moved around amongst the other village departments, and it could go into the hallways and or rooms and sit in there for a little bit and sterilize that air in that space. And then the other one is an ozone sterilizer, which can be placed in vehicles from the squad cars to pool cars to public works vehicles. And that one you'd have to close the doors off for a few hours, let the equipment run, and then it has to air out and be turned on to remove the residue that's inside of there. But it's another means of mitigating some of the stuff that we're seeing from COVID-19 to also some other infectious diseases that the officers unfortunately get exposed to. So, so if someone has a bloodborne pathogen that might be emitting something else, this hopefully will mitigate that as well.
Okay. Any questions for Chief? There was some comments about ultraviolet lights, things like that. Is there any other personal protective equipment that we foresee purchasing in the next couple of weeks or months?
From what we're seeing, from the dollar standpoint, this is stretching it a little bit. I think once we get beyond this, on the commercial side, the industrial side, the numbers really jump up in price for high-end equipment, and it's more of a medical field or maybe a campus environment. So for us as a village, we'd be spending a lot of money, have to maybe share in something like that with other organizations. But right now, this is probably the most economical. It's expensive. It's probably the most economical means at this time, unless something else changes over the next, couple months that we'll see that's available. But there's not much that's, from my side or our field, from maybe more on the science side, there might be something in the near future, but I'm not exposed to that through my trade journals or communication with other law enforcement officers.
Okay, no, that's fine. I appreciate that. I didn't know if there was other technology that we might be looking at. Okay.
And just to give you an idea for when we have to sterilize, the one incident that we had where we had to sterilize public works, it was just under $1,900 for that one-time sterilization. So the different amounts of times that you're going to have to be sterilizing it probably will pay for itself by utilizing these machines that you can have on site to do it immediately.
Good point. Okay. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Chief. Okay. No other questions? Roll call, please, Allison.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Conan?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Brent, any other discussion items that need to come before the board tonight?
No other items, no new business.
Thank you. Okay, close that portion. Staff reports, any questions for staff? 47 looks great. It was interesting seeing the people from Kern peel off that reflective tape that they had put down. That had to be a pain in the butt to do that. There are still, Tony, a number of signs laying around. I don't know if Chris Ott can let Kern know, but they're everywhere. So go ahead.
We did let them know about the signs, and they said they'll follow up when they're completed.
Okay. Sure, it'll be. Maybe we should wait until they send a check once the signs are picked up. But no, it looks good. And a lot of compliments online, so it looks good. Any questions for staff?
Just real quick, Walter. I know I sent an email earlier this week about signage, and you took care of one of them very well. The other one we never answered. There's a sign on 47 right at the southern border of the Rich's Auto property area that says massage with arrows on it. It's just like a stick in the ground, like a political type sign. Doesn't have the name of a business or anything else on it. I'm sure it's probably for the massage business that's over by Rocky's Dojo. But it's right off the curb, so it's in a right of way.
Okay.
Do we have the authority to pull that off of 47?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll take care of it.
Okay. And Tony, have they made the rounds again to look at streetlights?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
So they've repaired quite a few.
Have it. Great.
Yeah. I think we did, let's see, 32 streetlights just since the last board meeting.
Wow, that is.
How's the fall tree trimming going?
It's going well. They finished Walnut Woods, and they're working in Mallard Point today.
Oh, good.
Okay. That's good. All right. Any other ones for staff? Okay. Trustee reports. Ryan?
Nothing. I guess this is probably during staff reports. I'm not on social media, so I appreciated those emails that come out. I'm assuming maybe Allison drafts those. We got one this week. Just very informative for the village to know kind of what's going on and what's happening. So it's good to see those.
Yeah, we actually had a little hiccup when we had an update, so we weren't going out for a little while, but we're back in business.
All right.
How many people do we have on that email chain?
There are now about 1,400, maybe a couple less, but yeah, around 1,400.
Good. Okay. All right. Anything else, Ryan?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay. Rick?
The only thing coming up, we had last week we had a convention bureau meeting, and then that was remotely. And this coming Thursday morning, we're meeting with the Village of Oswego. We finalized the agreement draft back and forth between us. Actually, it would be the Park District is taking the lead on this, and Oswego on the showmobile. And things have gone very well. We've gotten them to agree to the monetary amount that we had decided on. They're going to extend the contract a year in the event that COVID. We're looking at 3 shows a summer for a total of 5 years. And they're going to extend it a year if COVID shuts down 21 also. So, our contract basically starts the first of the year, goes for 5 years. But if COVID stops, we'll go for 6 years for the same amount of money. It's the $8,000 we agreed to. We have also settled on an agreement, instead of us having to worry about bringing the thing back and forth and setting up, Oswego is going to do that for us for the fee of $200 per performance. So that's very affordable, and it takes liability away from us worrying about transporting it back and forth, and if it gets damaged in transport and stuff like that. So for an extra $600 a year, it's something we can work in our budget. But we're going to meet Park District, Township, Library, and I will be there on Thursday morning, and we're going to meet at their Public Works section at 10:30. Go over everything that we expect of each other. I expect the Park District will sign the agreement. We'll have Matt or Tim cut a check to them for what they've got coming for the upcoming season and our agreement on it, and we should be good to go. All we need to do is book bands then again.
Good. I think people will be excited to have an event like that. And I think you did agree to change the date to Thursday night as opposed to Friday nights, correct?
Yeah, we're looking at doing Thursday nights instead for a couple of reasons. There is a possibility that some of the bands will be cheaper on a weeknight than they would be on a Friday night. The other issue is, and we're trying not to conflict with Friday football in August. We're booking just one event in June, one in July, and one in August, and we're going to make the August one before the middle of the month so that we don't have to worry about football season kicking in. And between that and the Corn Boil, people will have concerts all summer to sit and watch. And with the 3 we're doing instead of 4, that's how we got them to agree to be the one hauling it back and forth. It's not as big as an inconvenience for them. And we figure we can do just bigger, better bands. So we're looking at rebooking the 2 bands we had booked for this season, the Rico, which is a tribute band, and then we're going to do the Fleetwood Mac tribute band also. And then we might bring back the Beach Boys or the Jimmy Buffett tribute band that we had 2 summers ago. Because they said every other summer is better than doing it every year because they have a big following too. And so all 3 of those bands would be big name bands with a decent following. And I think we should put on some good concerts.
Great. Well, thank you, Rick. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay. Heidi, any comments?
Nothing at this time, no.
Okay. Jen?
I just wanted to ask, during our regular board meeting, when we get into staff reports and you ask whether we have any questions, a lot of times I feel like we may have asked our questions and they've been answered by staff prior to board meetings if we had them. But I wanted to ask, I think it would be helpful to the residents when they're listening or listening after the fact, if our staff actually gave their report in the audio version or at our board meetings, so that once they're recorded, people can hear what's going on in the village from those departments. And if something comes up, it might raise a question for them to reach out to Allison or one of us for clarity. But I think it would just go along the lines of transparency, what's happening, and open lines of communication if those staff members could actually report at the board meetings instead of us asking questions of them. I didn't know if anybody else felt that way.
Allison, are the staff reports posted with the agenda?
They are not.
Okay. That might be first way to do it is to post the staff reports. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the one thing we just need to be careful on occasion, there's confidential items included in the memos that go only to the board, but that's certainly, if the board desires, we could make a point to not include anything that would be, confidential, typically like personnel related, or sometimes they may have an update on a lawsuit or something like that. So we could, in essence, keep any items like that as a separate, correspondence, if you will, to the board, and make the kind of a staff report one that would be available for the public.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful. Yes.
I think having them online where people could look at them might be better than listen to the audio. I think more people would tend to read something than listen to the audio till the end of that sections.
I don't know if, even if it was just like an update maybe of like some of the stuff like chiefs, like some of the training that the police department's doing, or some of the projects that we've completed or projects coming up. I think it's interesting just because we are having more people come to meetings, listen into meetings, and I think it helps gain an understanding of where some of their tax dollars go, instead of I would listen to it before I would read it. I would guess, and listen to it on the way to work, or listen to it on the way home, or listen to it while doing something else versus reading it.
Do we get an indication, Allison, how many people are watching the YouTube video?
It depends. It's I'm just going to look right now. I've got it open. So lately, not a lot. Since August, the most we've had is 23. I think it also depends on if there's something a little bit more exciting. So the highest one was 38. I think that was when the Grove Farm was on the agenda, but then generally it's, less than 15.
Allison, just to clarify, is that people who are, participating or watching the board meeting live, or is that views on the YouTube channel?
That's who watches on the YouTube channel. I would have to go back and check the attendee list for who is calling in or who is attending. I only know online. I don't have all the people who may call in, but at the most we've had like a handful of attendees that I can see. We do not get the information about who just calls in and listens.
The only other thing I would add is when we do our trustee reports and something comes up and we're having good discussion, and like we are right now, I feel like when we are talking about whether it be Public Works and what their update is, that we kind of feed off of each other a little bit, and more things can come out than in a discussion about any given department that maybe wouldn't come out if we just ask a question. If we don't have a question, it's not out there. So that's all. I feel like we get a little bit more accomplished through discussion. So that was my feedback and what I would like to see if you all agreed to it.
Okay. I prefer just post it online as opposed to taking up time to have them read, but it's really doesn't matter. So we could try reading them for a couple weeks and see how that goes, and see if we have any increased viewership or responses.
Well, I wouldn't even suggest that you read out what they're writing, but that like staff obviously puts their report together, and that can be published, Allison, but then when staff is here and they can just highlight those items because we've read them and see if it sparks discussion within it. I don't know. That's just I think just reading the report, yes, you could put it online, but if it sparks discussion amongst the board, we try it a couple of times and see what happens.
I think that's a good idea. Just maybe read the bullet point items if you're going to read something out loud. But I agree with Ryan that I prefer to listen to things rather than pull them up a lot of times. It's easier for me with my schedule.
Let me just throw out another idea. Would it be easier, because I'm sure most of the people that would be listening in probably don't need to listen to every meeting that's been attended and every class they've attended or training session or things that are part of their reports. It's the key things that are going on, like maybe what's new in community development and proposed things that may be coming on, what's new in law enforcement and, like something with the, sterilization equipment and what we're doing to protect our first responders and that those topics, if they're in the report, would it be easier if one of the trustees or somebody during this point just said, hey, could you elaborate a little bit more for those that are listening for the key items versus going through everything on the report? Because number one, it'll make the meetings a lot longer. I think it'll make the meetings a lot more boring with all the stuff that the most people don't really seem to be that interested in. I think they trust that we're sending our people to training sessions and that kind of stuff, and they're attending meetings and that, but it's the key things. What's going on in town? What's the police department doing for, COVID response and the other things that are going on? And I don't want to leave Matt out. What's going on with our money?
Right.
What's going on with the weather situations and the snow? Those types of things are probably, if we read the reports, if we highlight something on a report, just say, hey, could you tell us about this for those that are listening? Would that be easier?
And that's what I tried doing with each meeting, is to ask the different department heads to elaborate on certain things, i.e. the street lights. So.
Just a thought. I'm not opposed to it any way. I thought maybe that would do what Jennifer's asking, and it would keep us at a minimum time so we're not losing listeners and with the boring items.
Yeah.
For sure, the intent is to not make the meetings longer, but I think for myself, I like to hear Chief talk about, like you said, Rick, it can be highlights from it, but hear from them verbalizing it to us. And it, like I said, it might spur more engaged conversation than reading. I read the report and say, oh, okay. Or if I do have a question, I bring it up, but we kind of gloss over what's happening. Unless, Sean, you brought it up tonight, you do bring up like bullet points of things, but I like listening to our department heads talk at board meetings about what's happening as the specialists within their department. So that's just me.
Another way to do it is, instead of us asking the questions, just putting a department highlight section in there. And as we as trustees say, okay, this is what I have nothing or something going on, you could have the staff or department heads go, I have nothing, or this is what's going on, that's something they want to highlight.
Yeah, if I can, I think that what I would suggest is, obviously the agenda has the staff report section, which is what we're talking about here. And I think that, for all of us on staff, we can take a look and prepare, like I say, some highlights. And just when you get to that item, Sean, if you wouldn't mind, you could just say, okay, any highlights from administration. And I could either say, hopefully not no. I'd like to think every 2 weeks or something worth mentioning at the board meeting, but certainly not go through the entire report. Pick out a couple of the highlighted items, talk about them briefly. And then certainly if any of the board members felt, that there was any items from the written report or anything else that's come up, to say, oh, could you also mention this or about that? But I think it would be worth a shot for, myself and the department heads to each, prepare a few items for the board meeting to do a verbal kind of highlight, and, try it for a meeting or two. And if it's not working, we can tweak it or do something different,
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Thank you, Jen. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Ted?
Nothing new.
Sean?
Nothing new.
Okay. President's report. I attended the inauguration ceremony for the first Hindu center, Vishwa Hindu. It's at the old Girl Scout building in Pressbury. They're very kind and courteous, very welcoming. I probably spent 2 hours there, sat through a couple ceremonies and had lunch, tour of the facilities. They're very very accommodating, and they want to get through the next couple months, get open, and then sit down and just talk about what they foresee for their facility and see if there's anything that they can do to help bring business to our area. So I wish them the best, and I really appreciate their time. They had the consulate of the Hinduism from Chicago out, which was a big deal, a young man. But it was a real experience. I'm glad I participated in it. So, very nice. Okay. I don't see any new attendees. There's nobody here, but I will open up public comment. Seeing no attendees and having no one here, I'll close that portion. No airport report. Brent, any need to go to closed session?
No, not tonight.
Okay. With that, may I get a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
Trustee Cook, you second it?
I did.
Okay. Second by Trustee Montalto. Roll call, please, Allison.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Montalto?
Aye.
Trustee Heron?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Cullen?
Aye.
Trustee Walter?
Aye. Okay, everyone. Thank you for participating. Have a safe election day, week. But let's hope we'll all reconvene in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.